So at Lama Show, I was doing a walk round, and we came across your stand, and we got chatting to you, Evelyn, about Major and a few things that was up and coming. And one of the things you talked to me about was a bit of a roadshow. You were going out with hedge cutting, etc. And the old saying, one thing led to another. We ended up out there looking at that, and here we are. Tell me just a little bit about Major.
No problem, yeah. Well, the company was set up originally by my dad and my uncle. My uncle has his own business now, and today it's run by my dad, my brother and my sister, and obviously my colleague Martin, and there's another 78 people involved in it as well. But it's still completely a family-owned business.
Yes. And I'm going to bounce to you, Martin. What is the main product here? What's number one seller?
Number one product that goes out in numbers is probably the 2.5 metre Cyclone.
What's that?
That's that's a heavy duty rotary cutter, so it will cut and mulch pretty much any type of material. Mainly in Ireland, be used in grass, maybe heavy rushes, gorse, but worldwide used in all sorts of vegetation. It's got a higher density of blades, so say in a 2.5 metre, which is an 8-foot cut, it's got 4 rotors that have 16 blades between them. So it gives a cut and a mulch and an even spread. A
cut and a mulch and an even spread.
Yeah, yeah. Very important.
You read that one off the brochure. Did you write that in the brochure?
Might have helped.
But your standard topper range is still there as well?
Yeah, we still make standard toppers for grassland work from 6 foot right up to 18 foot in standard toppers.
What?
We make an 18-foot flex wing, which would be a very popular machine now. Covering bigger acres, larger farmers, a lot of dairymen. Time is an issue. They'll get out there and they'll cover 50 to 20 acres an hour with that machine.
But you were showing me earlier on 7.2 metre Cyclone.
Yeah.
But you also, beside that, had an extra heavy duty one, which you could really see with the saucers and that in below. What is that for? Is that clearing landmines or what?
The larger 7.2 is one that's very, very big in the American market. So it would be cutting cotton, row crops of cotton, and would be also, we've that machine testing at the moment down in Florida on 250,000 acres of sugarcane. So it would be cutting those type of materials. And the heavier built one, that's quite popular in areas like Georgia in the US, and some of them they put it's like a disc harrow mounted on behind it, and that's one is, they call it a stalk puller. So as well as cutting the stalk and mulching it, it also lifts it out of the ground. But that's mainly in the US markets, those.
And do you have a 9.2 metre?
We have.
Cyclone as well?
The biggest one is a 9.2 metre Cyclone, again mainly in southern US belt, cutting cotton, and that can take out 12 rows of cotton. They usually sow them at 34 or 36 inch rows. So again, it's taking out massive amounts of row crop, 350 horsepower in front of it.
Well, I think this is proof that he has done a wee bit of work in America.
So he's earned his keep.
He has done something.
I'm the local expert on growing cotton.
A local expert in cotton. I like that one. Evelyn, on that side of things, did you ever think as a family, when this business started in Mayo, you would have an agent like this selling 9.2 metre machines in the States to basically bust up the stalks after cotton before they go back in? Yeah. Was that ever in the early day drawings?
Well, do you know, the machine actually started in Germany, so we always knew there was potential probably to go overseas with it. We initially started that machine on the Blacklands. There was a problem with the maize crop with the parasite overwintering, so that's initially where that problem came from, and we came up with that solution for that machine. But to think that, it's probably 4 times as big now in width than it was, and that it's working in cotton farms, you know, throughout the US, and you know, in corn and crops that we would not have here, and you know, such incredible customers. We've learned so much over the last few years. So yeah, no, never in a minute did we think, and even every day when I see, you know, like containers getting loaded up with these big machines, I can't believe it that they're going that far away. You know,
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, you're stood up against, I suppose, at my era, my age, we're in the early 40s, of a product that I would probably know major for, and that's tanks. Well, this isn't too shabby now. This is a 3,500 tandem, fully galvanised. Like,
Yeah.
is that up there with about as big as you get in the tanker world, or?
But the tanker world, probably the standard would be probably 2,800 would probably be the busiest tankers that we would do. But we do plenty of these 3.5s, and even locally here, this actually is going to a customer in Galway. But and we would do a lot of them into the UK as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And we're all back now towards our dribble bars and our trailing shoes or whatever. Because that's something that I remember, if I go way back, like, you know, yes, the whole world has become fascinated with how slurry is put onto the ground now. But you guys were working at that many years ago.
Yeah, like we've a colleague that he started his career with Duport in the Netherlands, where they made those, and that's all that they did. So he kind of helped us as well when he joined to develop one. So it's 25 years ago that we're doing slurry application units like this. So, you know, we're no strangers to it, and the different methods of doing it.
That's what I was going to say. Was Major ahead of its time in that one?
Maybe a little bit. We made them, and then we found it hard to find a home for them. We found a home for them actually with organic farmers in the UK who probably were ahead of their time also. And that's where we probably sold in the early days a lot to.
And now it's absolutely normal.
Yes, completely normal, and
now it's
so.
almost a requirement. Just pulling it back to the tankers then, on your tanker, so that the trailing shoe that we were looking at, dribble bars, etc., they're all in-house made.
Yes.
They're your own product.
They're our own product, yeah.
And then just deciding what macerator or whatever you want to put on that.
Two options on the macerators then, yeah.
What do you use there?
Vogelsang macerator and the Mastec macerators are the main two we use. Yeah. And it's customer choice then.
Sort of as high end as you'd ever want there, I suppose.
Both of them, yeah. Very good brands and have worked well.
So we sell, there's probably about 25 countries altogether, pretty much all the European countries we sell into, but we have a good presence in Australia, South Africa, and like the US is a whole other, every single state is probably like another country.
Yes.
It's actually so different between different states, even how they grow cotton is quite different between, say, Texas and South Carolina. So, you know, there's a lot of differences there. So for us to kind of, you know, the future of it will always be Ireland. I mean, everything's tested here in the beginning, because if it works here, obviously it's hard test, say, in cotton, but we can't do that here, but we run it through rushes with different blade systems, and we're able to make sure that it works. And then when it goes overseas, we're confident, you know, that it will work in those different markets.
Major is growing, is what I can see from coming down and having a chat. I suppose we're stood here at, will we call this HQ, or where it started?
Yeah.
And there's this morning we were down at a new assembly facility.
Yeah.
You know, is this growth planned, or is it just a response to the increase in markets?
No, it's everything is very planned. You know, we bought that site actually probably about 2010, 2011. With the view to moving, it was just a decision on whether to move tanker production or grass production, but we went with grass production. So we are quite strategic, and we know what we have to do and where we want to be in the next kind of 3-5 years. I think COVID taught us there's no point in planning for 10, because we learned a lesson there, you know.
Anything can happen. Well, since you mentioned it first, I'm going to ask, how has it been for Major coming back off COVID? Because, you know, we're in the early part of 2024. The vision out there just currently is, you know, markets have all cooled off a little bit. How are you guys managing to mitigate that? Is it, well, you know, I'm assuming it's not just as easy as it has been, but
No, it is. It's like having a ship and you're going in a certain direction, and we just have to kind of change it ever so slightly. But I think that we kind of set ourselves up after, say, the crash, so say 08, 08, 09, where dealers were taking less stock. Things kind of changed then for us. So our policy is, and it doesn't work for everybody, but we would build stock throughout the year and we store the stock here, so that we carry a lot of stock, but we can instantly respond. If a dealer sends in an order, we can fill a crate and have it out of here in 7, 10, 14 days. So that's the way we're able to kind of manage it, and the dealers kind of know that. Dealers still do take a little bit of stock, but we carry the bulk of it here. Now, for the US, there's a very short window selling there, so again, we're prepared for that. So we start shipping out of here very intensively from July right up, say, till October, because the cutting window there, in Texas it starts in August, it's a 3-week window, and then it moves gradually up the way, so it's a tight enough window there as well. So again, we're kind of producing and building and stocking all year, and then we have our containers already booked every 3-4 days out of here.
We're started our week. We're up in Carlisle in Northern England today. We're doing a major hedge cutting day with a new Rotary head. So a lot of people would have been used to a flail, whereas we've come up with a new concept of a rotary system.
So what's the thought process behind the rotary head? Like the flail hedge cutter as sort of the daddy of it at the minute. What is the reason people should change to a rotor?
So a rotary system will be less horsepower, easier run, fuel saving, and on certain hedges, your amenity style hedge is a very, very clean cut. So the model's an MJ39143. It's been launched just this year in the UK, and it's been in Ireland for the last 2 years, but development wise probably about 6 years. So we have a hydraulic opening hood here at the front. So the advantage is that your blade, as you can see here, is right at the front of your crop, so you're cutting it before it, what would I say, is compressed in, whereas your flail's enclosed, so the crop is getting folded over before we can cut it, and then it's springing back up afterwards. The big advantage is this rotor is going anti-clockwise, whereas this rotor is going clockwise. So then we're chopping this material and throwing it into the center, so we have a nice, clean, even spread. The top 2 blades on each rotor do the mulching. The bottom 2 blades do the cutting. The rotors are counter-rotating, and advantage is easier sharpening. You can just sharpen them with an angle grinder on a sandpaper pad, and you'll save on average up to an hour compared to the same size flail on the same size. On your roller, the advantage of the roller is your roller turns, not your shaft, whereas your flail more runs a pillar block bearing, so it's only designed to run in a straight line. This is a tapered bearing, so it's the same as an axle, so it's designed to take side force and whatnot. The advantage is our shaft doesn't turn, our roller turns, whereas your pillar block bearing, the shaft turns, not the roller, so you'll wind dirt, debris and moisture into your bearing housing and it'll obviously crack, whereas this won't. You have a simple height adjustment up here at the top, so you can change the height of your roller as you need to. You have your anti-scalp disc to stop it from bottoming out when you're doing verge work, and then it's galvanised as standard.
So what is the actual price difference between a flail hedge cutter and a rotary?
It's pretty much near on the same price. Your biggest advantage is your cost savings going forward, your fuel, your blades compared to your flails. You can redo this for about half the price of a set of flails.
Whenever you say the fuel saving, what is it about this machine that makes it save the diesel? Where is the actual diesel saving through the drive in this machine?
I suppose it's through the rotor, because we're going on a rotary system, whereas a flail's doing a big circle and you have a big shaft and it's a lot of inertia to drive it. I suppose it's developed from the Cyclone to this. It's the same format of a Cyclone, and we brought it into the head for the hedge cutter. I suppose your Cyclone, again, you have the fuel savings compared to a flail and a batwing. It was developed, we probably started about 6 years ago, and we've been selling it in Ireland for 2 years, and then we decided to bring it to Lama this year to launch it into the UK.
What way has sales gone with it then so far in the UK?
Very, very well. An awful lot of interest in it for the fuel saving. Obviously, there's not many other rotary heads like this. There's a and whatnot. So sales are very, very strong. It's one of those machines that the customer needs to see to believe what it can actually do, because it is a complete different concept than what they're used to.
Then in the next couple of years, do you sort of see the likes of the flail hedge cutter dying out then with this technology coming through, or?
I suppose hopefully that's what's going to happen. We've seen it on the Cyclone. It has really taken off on that side of it. We're competing against the big batwings and whatnot, so I think this will grow in that sense. It's also fittable for a digger, slightly bigger digger, maybe a 13 or a 14 ton machine.
Well, Michael, how's things?
Pretty good.
You're the reason for all the wonky hedges around this part of the country today.
Yeah, just today.
Just today.
Just today.
So we've heard from the salesman, we've got the sales pitch. We want the honest answer now. This is your own machine. You've been working with it for how long?
So we had the machine just before Christmas, and we've done around 350 hours of trimming with it, somewhere in that region since then. So, and the proof in the pudding is I went and bought it because we think there's a market there for our business and for my trimming business. We start hedge cutting in July and we go all the way round to March.
And was it always Major you worked with before, or what was the previous brand?
No, we've been looking at rotary hedge cutters for Pacific type, because on our business we do, half of our business is non-farming work. So we do football pitches, golf courses, factory sites and things like that, where we want to, we don't want the spread of thorns, but we do a lot of evergreens, which with a flail can be a bit of a nightmare because they're loose, they're wappy, and the draft off the flail tends to blow it about too much. So we wanted to go to a rotary that we'd get a cleaner cut with it. And then through my future son-in-law, he says, "Oh, I think Major Equipment are doing a rotary." And then one step went from another to James, and we spoke to James about it, and then we bought a Cyclone front topper, and then we've ended up having this.
So this is the first one you've had then?
Yeah, so we got this to try, and then we bought, we said we'll have it. It's an excellent piece of kit.
What were you working with prior to this?
So we just got a 1.6 metre flail, and we just did everything with that basically.
And this was the same hedge cutter, or you just buy the head then and put it onto your own hedge cutter?
So yeah, so this is my trimmer, and the Major, we've made it fit the Shelbourne hedge cutter.
Was that a hard job to do?
No, we bought the bracket off Shelbourne, and they make a universal bracket, and that was it. It was pretty simple, really.
What's your thoughts on your Cyclone?
Brilliant. Yeah, we've gone from a flail again to the Cyclone purely because easier driving, less fuel, and everything else. Really, it's simplistic.
Do you find them as hardy as the likes of your flail mower?
Yeah, I think they are. Yeah, definitely. Just sharpening and a bit of greasing. That's it. Just check the gearbox oils occasionally, and that's about it. And then we change the gearbox oils every year and once a year, and that's it really. So, and we're hoping the head will be the same. It's the maintenance and the low running costs is the attraction is that since we've had it, the biggest thing we've noticed with it is the fuel consumption and the low maintenance.
So it must be a pretty drastic fuel change if you can notice it in such a short space of time.
So we, at this moment in time, with the price of fuel at 80 pence a litre, if we do 6 10-hour days, we'll save towards £100.
Are you going to give us a bit of a demonstration then on how to work this thing?
We will, yeah.
Would you teach Craig how to drive?
Well, I won't teach him how to drive, I'll show him how to drive, how it's done. I'm not a very good teacher.
So what was the purpose of the Roadshow with the hedge cutting? Is that a newer
make people aware that we make
market
it.
for
Yeah.
major, or is that?
Well, it's kind of again on the back of the premise of the cyclone. So we developed it actually probably about 4 or 5 years ago. We've been testing it that long because although it's something similar to what we've done before, it's another little area that we wouldn't have been very confident in. So we've been working with about 4 or 5 different contractors, really super experts in their field, and they have been testing the machine. So we launched it in Ireland probably about 2 years ago. We wanted to keep it local just to ensure if there was any issues we would be able to respond to them. And then we launched it at Lama into the UK. We've been getting a lot of interest and a lot of questions about it, but we held off until we were completely happy with it. So the Roadshow, I think, was an extension of Lama. We launched it there, but people wanted to see it working, and we're a lot of skeptics actually on it, you know. So in general, we got a really, really good turnout in the Roadshow, and people were pleasantly surprised. Some people came to see, they didn't really believe that it would work, but it did a super job, and we had a really good guy, Michael Tomlinson, is a hedge-cutting contractor. He came along with us, he helped us out with all the driving. So, you know, it did a really good job. So obviously the hedge-cutting season has closed now, so we are just going to wait. There's a lot of deals over the line, and we'll kind of get going again in July, August time, ready for the back end of the year. And the fuel savings as well, you know, from the guys that are using it is really impressive. That's the biggest selling point on it. Like Michael Tomlinson, who's running that machine, in a 6-day week, he's saving £100 a week on his fuel bill versus his flail head. So, you know, our one has its place in both worlds, but the fuel savings have been noted to be very significant.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
But thanks very much for allowing us to come down, take a
Thanks.
look
No
around.
worries.
Yeah,
It was
thanks a
great to
million.
catch up with you. And as I say, continued success for the brand, and it's great to see what Ireland can do on a world scale. But I do think we need a trip over to the States to see that 9.2.
Definitely.
You definitely should.
I think you know, I think that would be very important, you know, get over there and see that. But anyway, thank you very much.
Thanks very
Thanks
much.
a million.
Thank
Thanks
you.
very
Take
much.